Welcome to Silverstone, the warm-up lap of the European Superstock 1000 FIM Cup here in Northamptonshire. And despite threatening clouds overhead, the sun once more just breaking through as Sylvain Barrier, who is on pole position with the Goldbet BMW, sets the pace here on the warm-up lap. Eager to make up for the fact that he's thrown the bike up the road twice in the last two rounds, and that has handed a handsome 19-point lead to his nearest rival, Eddie Lamara, on the Barney Racing Team Ducati Panigale. They both qualified on the front row of the grid, split by the MRS Kawasaki of Jeremy Guanoni. And on the outside of the front row of the grid, Matthew Luciana on his Kawasaki. Second row of the grid, headed by the Scotsman Kev Coghlan, ahead of Olciak Jezek, who's celebrating his 25th outing in the European Superstock 1000 Championship. Robbie Brown, guest rider, who is currently leading the Ducati 848 Challenge in the UK, has qualified 7th ahead of Luca Savadori's Ducati. And then the Hungarian Joffy heads up row 3 ahead of the Swede Bergman, the Argentinian Leandro Mercado, and the German Markus Reiterberger. So, and on the fourth row of the grid lurks the third place man in the championship, Brian Starring of Australia on his Kawasaki. And the reason that the grid is a bit topsy-turvy is that the riding conditions were very, very tricky yesterday, as we see Sylvain Barrier, well, almost bunny hop his way, brake test his way to the pole position here at Silverstone. So on pole position then, there is Sylvain Barrier offering a slight prayer before he kicks off.
And you've got to think that Barrier would be the favourite, 0.8 of a second in front of anybody else through qualifying.
On pole position, Sylvain Barrier. Alongside him, Guanoni, and then Lamara and Luciana. Sylvain Barrier on pole position, waiting to get going on the Goldbet BMW. Desperate to make up for those two DNFs, looking for his 4th win of the season. And as they rocket off the start, great start for the MRS Kawasaki, booking its way off the track.
Terrible start for Barrier. He kind of got a little bit of a wheelie. He went to one side, had to sort of jink back to the left, and a terrible start for him.
So at the moment then, we've got Eddie Lamara keeling into the lead through the complex. Eddie Lamara has the advantage on the Ducati Panigale around this 3.7 mile circuit here at Silverstone. And the championship leader then makes the perfect getaway for the team that has dominated the Italian championship for the last 4 years. Eddie Lamara on the Barney Racing Team Panigale. He leads Guanoni's Kawasaki. Coghlan's made a terrific start from the second row of the grid. So Kev Coghlan, number 24, showing really strongly straight away, riding the DMC Racing Ducati Panigale. He runs in 3rd place. Several riders, of course, well downfield who needed good starts, included Brian Starring and Markus Reiterberger, riders we expect to see riding near the front. But here, as they go charging onto the old start and finish straight, Eddie Lamara's Panigale leads the way on the first of 10 laps. 2nd place to Guanoni, 3rd for Coghlan, 4th Luciana of the French racing family. Jezek 5th in his 25th outing, Barrier back in 6th, and Starring's made a splendid start. Someone's blown up.
There's big
blow.
I was just going to say, there's a lot of smoke there. That's a big engine issue there. And yeah, whoever it is has got off the track. He's on the grass. That might be all right, that, Jack.
That'll be some nicely oiled turf over there.
Yep.
By the looks of it. So as we check it, what I was checking out there was the fact that some of those guys riding from the mid-pack in these beautiful conditions have made a terrific start. As we watch number 11, Jeremy Guanoni, attack Lamara into Stoke Corner at the end of the full-bore hanger straight.
Yeah, that was down the hanger straight. The Panigale just not on the top end of the Kawasaki ZX-10 there.
We're back. Guanoni leads the way then ahead of Eddie Lamara. We've already had a mass massive explosion that deposits under oil, thankfully, on the grass verge of the old start and finish straight. Great move by Guanoni, though, at the end of stall. And here is Sylvain Barrier now trying to make moves, trying to claw his way up the field. And just behind him, Brian Starring, the former Australian Superbike champion, has made a galloping start from row 4 as we watch this huge feud going on at the moment between Guanoni 11, Lamara 47, and right behind them is Scotland's very own Kev Coghlan, the 24-year-old from Perth.
When the camera sweeps back like that.
Eddie Lamara then on the Panigale. So Panigale is running second and third. Robbie Brown down in 12th place has made a terrible start on the Ducati Manchester bike. The leader of the Ducati 848 Challenge back home. 23-year-old from Stoke with some work to do here.
Yeah, good qualification.
Great qualifying, yeah. Qualified just behind Kev Coghlan, but look at this. Coghlan is looking really strong in third place.
I like how just because he's Scottish you put a Mc on there. McCoghlan.
Irresistible.
I like it.
Kevin McCoghlan. Look at this. Starring is working really hard. He's right behind Barrier, and they are the men who are trying to move through the field after Barrier's awful start.
Now this is the sector of the track.
Oh, what a move by Starring.
Take that.
That was great. That kinked just before
fast.
Maggots.
Yep, really passes out.
And that surprised the Frenchman.
Yeah, it did. This is the sector of the track where the blow-up occurred. We're looking for oil flags. There's nothing. And the guy actually did know it happened. He got off. I don't know who it was, but he got off the track really quick.
Christopher Bergman's having a good run on bike number 71, the Swede who showed so strongly at Monza, having very sensibly ridden the Italian Championship the weekend before there. And here comes Eddie Lamara, repaying Guanoni for that move into stall corner at the end of the massive hanger straight. Fascinating, this track is exactly the same length as the first ever Silverstone Grand Prix track, which was opened back in 1948. Amazingly, both 3.7 miles long.
Yeah, the original track was using pretty much all the perimeter track of the old airfield and all the runways in a big cross formation.
That's right. But they actually rode they charged at each other.
Turned away from each other. Yeah.
Horrible. But Guanoni's back.
I have to...
Oh, for how long? Lamara takes the long swoop round the outside.
Oh, that nearly worked.
Interesting this, because Neil Hodgson was saying that Lamara didn't have to really put too much on the line. He's got a 19-point advantage. He should just... I don't think anyone's told the man with the wonderful side.
And do you know what? He never has. He's never looked like he's just trying to win a championship by tickling the points away.
Brian Starring has definitely got the better at the moment of the gold bet BMW, so he's trying to make moves forward. But great ride by Coghlan on the Panigale. So the Panigale's at the moment once more running second and third. Starring fastest lap, 2 minutes 10.393 for the Australian.
Yeah, twice a winner, and the man who looks like he's most improved, if you like. You know, he's the one that...
Well, he's actually won the last 2 rounds.
Yeah, exactly.
Both Aragon and Brunel. Finally seems to be getting to grips with he's had some real struggles with the Pedicini Kawasaki up till now, but Starring beginning to show some of his proper Antipodean form for Team Pedicini.
Yeah, he's been helped a little bit by the fact that Barry has twanged himself off those times. But nevertheless, Starring going well.
I'll tell you who's having a great ride, Luciana, running in 4th place, because he's a guy who tends to excel when he comes to the UK. He's the guy. He's the guy who's still racing in a family. There he is, running number 93, ahead of Starring and Sylvain Barrier.
Yep.
And Luciana, he ran a team at the Le Mans 24-hour endurance race for the last couple of years that includes his brother and his dad. His old man's like in his 50s, and they run together as a team at Le Mans. He's just losing out a place there as he gets drafted by Brian Starring. So the Pedicini Kawasaki slips through to 4th place. Ahead of him, we've got Guanoni, Lamara and Coghlan. Oh, Luciana, his fellow Frenchman's having a peek up the inside as they go through Vale and into Club. And the Gold Bet BMW relegates Luciana to 6th place.
Tell you what, Giannoni's pulling a little bit of time out here on everybody.
He is. Guanoni set the fastest lap, 2 minutes 9.421, and that really has opened himself up an advantage over Lamara. And then behind them, Coghlan, Starring, Barrier, Luciana, Jezek, celebrating his 25th outing in this class, his 7th ahead of Bergman, Mercado and Marcus Reiterberger, struggling to make up ground from a poor position on the grid.
Yeah, that man there, 67 on the Kawasaki Starring, I reckon will be able to do run similar times to Giannone. Giannone's half a second quicker now than anybody else. The next fastest man being Starring, but he's got traffic now, Starring.
Not for long, because he slips underneath Kev Coughlin. Oh, did he run a bit wide? Just about collects it back at the end of the Wellington Straight, and then's got to hoof it right. So a good move then by Brian Starring, gets the better of Kev Coughlin and sticks the Scotsman back between himself and Sylvain Barrier. Barrier must be feeling fairly desperate at the moment. The guy who finally picked up his maiden Superstock 1000 victory at Brno last year, to the joy of James Toseland, who was there working with the team. And here we go as he slips through at Copse Corner, gets the better of Coughlin on the Panigale. Kev tries to retaliate through that fast left kink, but Barrier now into 5th place. Beg your pardon, 4th place. Coughlin now back to 5th, Luciano in 6th. But Guanoni, 2 minutes 9.421, fastest lap of the race, has just tucked an advantage. Now then, James, 7 laps or 6.5 laps left for Starring to try and bridge that gap with Barrier in tow.
Yeah, this lap will be kind of telling, because Starring's got to go. Well, he's going to have to start lapping about half a second quicker than the leader.
As we go plunge around the top at the moment, we've got 67 Starring running in 3rd place. Right behind him, Sylvain Barrier. Right behind him, Kev Coughlin. So with just over 6 laps to go, 6 laps to go now as Guanoni crosses the line, but Lamara sets the fastest time, 2 minutes 9.527. Starring 3rd, Barrier, Coughlin, Luciana rounding out the top 6. The determined Brian Starring, had a cheerful, smiling Australian who, well, he actually wasn't smiling so much last year. He was struggling a bit with Team Pedicini, but he's kind of cheered up a bit with these 2 victories in the last 2 rounds. And here he is, pressing on, trying to improve on this 3rd place, but he's about 2 seconds behind the leader Guanoni at the moment on another of the Kawasaki's. But that, of course, is the Adrian Moraes Racing Kawasaki at the front, the French team. That's the Italian team, green Kawasaki there of Pedicini.
And Starring just isn't going quick enough at the minute to catch Giannone in the front of this.
In fact, he was about 2/10 slower on that lap, even with open track ahead of him. So really, it looks to me like a bit of damage limitation, having come from the 4th row of the grid. He really needs to keep Barrier behind him.
Yeah, he does.
Guanoni leads. Of course, looking at the championship, Lamara with a 19-point lead over Barrier. Starring is 24 points off the leader, and therefore only 5 points behind the man behind him there, Sylvain Barrier. Savadori 4th, Guanoni only 5th in the championship, 32 points off the lead. So this would make a difference for Jeremy Guanoni. If he could win this would really throw him into the mix.
Yeah, that's what winning does. You get more points for that. Somebody's obviously explained that to him this week.
Just as you've explained it to me, thank you very much, sir. The 2010 European Superstock 600 champion Jeremy Guanoni, as the sun comes, he's taken a while to adapt to the big bikes, like some people do. Only 17th last year in this championship.
Yep. We're used to seeing him right at the front of the Superstock 6 every weekend. As about a 15 or 16-year-old then. What is he now?
Guanoni? That's a very good question. 19.
19.
So Guanoni roars past us now. Lamara's picking up the pace behind him with the fastest lap of the race, 2 minutes 9.362. The fastest lap, incidentally, at the moment. The lap record is held by none other than Danilo Petrucci, who now races CRT machines in MotoGP. 2 minutes 8.796. But Lamara, 2 minutes 9.362. Quickest man on track as we watch this duel between Brian Starring and Sylvain Barrier. Starring really needs to keep Barrier behind him, but Barrier's looking every which way up the inside on the BMW.
Yeah, championship-wise for Starring, it's really important he doesn't let number 20 there, Barrier, past him.
Sylvain tracks him down the Wellington Straight, looking to see if he can find a way of dipping underneath him when they get into that sharp left-hander here at Brooklands, named, of course, after the famous track down in Surrey, and then flick it left right now, all the way around Luffield. And that powers you on towards the fast left-hander at Woodcote. Onto the old finishing straight. Meanwhile, Lamara's going for it here.
Nice drift.
It is interesting because, of course, the Barney Racing Team, they've dominated the Italian Superbike Championship, and are, for the past 4 years, they've just secured the 2012 Championship. And what a move by Lamara for the Barney Racing Team. Does he run wide? No, he doesn't. He clings onto the advantage. He's got the better of Guanoni.
But you can afford to run wide there because it puts you on the right side for the next set of bends.
It always looks, I was down there watching right beside the circuit on the outside of the track where you can get really excitingly close to the track during qualifying yesterday, and it's amazing how, as they swap sides coming down the Hanger Straight, oh, steady boys, here comes Guanoni. The speed of the Kawasaki carries him ahead into Stowe Corner. And it looks like, James, it's really hard work to get the bike to move right after that left flick. Yeah,
when the bikes are going quick, like I've explained before, the wheels are going round so quick that the bike's got a lot of gyroscopic stability built up in. That's when you see somebody fall off at a hairpin, the bike wants to fall over, but you see somebody high side have a real fast corner like this, the bike actually sometimes picks itself up because there's so much stability in the wheels, and that's why the bike doesn't want to turn from either side to the other, and it's really got to use a lot of counter steering, put weight through each footrest to get the bike to turn.
Guanoni then clinging on in front of an aggressive Lamara, who once again dips underneath. There is rumour that the Barney Racing Team might come into World Superbikes next year, so if they can nail this Superstock Thou Championship to go with their Italian Superbike Championship, then they'll be well, that's a pretty good stepping stone.
And these bikes are completely different bikes, Jack. I mean, and you know that the Ducati, as with most Ducati big sports bikes, is a V-twin.
Guanoni round the outside.
Can he pull it back? He can. The Ducati's a V-twin, that's why it's narrower and smaller looking. The Kawasaki is a crosser frame 4, but they're also very different in the way that the chassis are built. The Kawasaki is a more traditional, separate aluminium chassis, very strong, and yet the Ducati has what's called a stressed airbox. The engine forms the major part of the frame. It's a stressed member in the frame. The swing arm and suspension linkage is bolt direct on the back of the engine, as does the seat. Here we go. Yep. Same move.
Yeah.
As does the seat frame, and the front end of the engine holds the airbox, which then on the front of that holds the steering head. And it's a real kind of modern way of doing things, and it does away with all that frame. If you take the engine out of that bike, the Ducati, the thing falls apart because the frame is the engine. And it's surprising just how nimble the thing is. I've been kind of shocked. I wouldn't expect it to be as nimble as the Kawasaki through some of these, but it is.
It's certainly proving to be at the moment, does it? And it just seems to lack that ultimate top. I know it's in very early stages of development, just against the pace of that ZX.
Compared to previous Ducatis, it is a lot shorter stroke, so the thing revs a lot more, and they put a lot of effort into making it have the power that the 4 cylinders, and to do that with a V-twin is difficult.
3 laps to go then for Eddie Lamara in this 10-lap European Superstock 1000 race here at Silverstone. 3rd place still being fought over by Brian Starring and the gold bet BMW of Sylvain Barrier. Kev Coughlin running strongly on his Panigale in 5th place. 6th is Jezek ahead of Bergman and Mercado. Reiterberger crosses the line in 9th place. Masai has gone across the line 10th. We've lost Luciana after a spirited early ride. The Frenchman has disappeared off our timing screen. That elevates Robbie Brown up into 12th place.
Good drive from Coughlin, this, you know. It's a good safe 5th as well. He's not far off the back of the Barrier Starring.
Right. They're all in the 2-minute 10s on that lap, which puts them ahead of everybody else. Lamara still leads. And as they come out of the right-hander, still hanging on, Eddie Lamara, and that might be... Oh, it's Svitok who's dropped his Ducati.
Oh, has he?
That's Farm again. It's amazing how many people have been claimed there.
Slightly careless, clinging to the floor like that.
Scuffing his leathers. Eddie Lamara still leading the way. Lamara, it has to be said, Guanoni's never had a win yet in this class. Lamara hasn't had a win in this class. Certainly this year, he finished 2nd at Brno. He's just been super consistent to lead the championship on bike 47, with 3 3rd places in the opening rounds at Imola, Assen and Monza.
Yeah, this is just to prove the boys down there, our experts, wrong. that Lamara's going to sit and just take the points and not try hard, and he's fighting tooth and nail here.
I didn't expect him to.
No, he hasn't done. He
looks like the swarthy superstar of a Hollywood Western, Eddie Lamara. You'd expect him to come out guns blazing. So Lamara in the sunshine leads it. There's a blue sky above us now. The clouds have lifted. It's a lovely looking day here in Northamptonshire.
Don't put the wellies away just quite yet, Jack.
I haven't got the wellies with me, mate. Crossing the line, 2 laps to go. Eddie Lamara leads it. One Kawasaki is pushed into second, the other one running third, keeping the blue, yellow and white BMW behind it. So it's Lamara, Guanoni, Starring and Barrier. Sylvain Barrier, the most experienced man out on track.
Ooh, we had a look then, did Barrier.
The Frenchman's getting impatient.
He's quite important.
It is, it's very important. Just check again on the point system. The points here with Lamara on 94, Barrier on 75, Starring on 70, Savadori's on 67. Where's Lucas Savadori in this race? He's nowhere. He's disappeared from it. Perhaps he was that early blow-up because we lost him very early on from the timing screens. And that means that Guanoni on 62 points can really climb up the championship table. 20 points would help. 25 points would be a massive boost if he could get the better of Lamara in this dice for the lead.
Well, for Giannone, it's going to be either 20 points, 25, or go upside down somewhere.
You can imagine your old teammate Adrian Moraes. What would be his reaction if he went upside down at this point?
Well, he won't be happy, would he? He's never happy, though, is he?
No, I was going to say, he's a terminally gloomy man.
He is as well. It rubs off as well if you spend a bit of time with him. You're flipping suicidal.
That doesn't sound like...
And your shoelaces and belting at the flipping garage door.
That doesn't sound like a very encouraging scenario from this 19-year-old number 11 to me. Oh, and the Goldbet BMW slunk through. So Starring has been relegated. Now then, can he draft him down the hanger straight? He's not going to try to. He has faith in the Kawasaki to run round him into Stoke Corner. That's a long way around.
Yes.
Brave move then. Oh, he's
got wide. It looked like that shouldn't have worked.
Almost did. Good try, Brian. So Brian Starring then. Once again trying to retake the advantage from Sylvain Barrier. So we've got 2 huge battles going on here. Starring from Perth in Australia, ahead of Kev Codlin from Perth in Scotland.
Is it? Yeah.
And here we go as they sweep round the right-hander at the end of the start and finish straight, the new start and finish straight. On the final lap then, Lamara leads it from Guanoni. Barrier's finally got third place when it mattered from Brian Starring. Starring, the Australian Superbike champion on a Yamaha in 2009, on a Honda in 2010, the king of Wanneroo, and an HM Plant Honda deputy in Superstock for Steve Plater in British Superbikes.
Yeah, Snetton, was it?
Yeah. He only got as far as the first turn.
Yeah.
Look at this. Guanoni's very, very keen to find a way through. He's got the speed on the straights, so he needs to find a way in which he can surprise Lamara. I suppose that if he can get the drive he needs onto the hanger straight, that would be the time to time it, sure.
Yeah.
The time to time it, that would be the time to try it. Round Woodcote then, the fabulous full bore right-hander. And then along the old start and finish straight, swooping across the fabulous right-hander at Copse, named after the 7 Copse Wood, just on the outside there.
It's strange seeing the start and finish straight grandstand, or the old start and finish straight grandstand, with not that many people in it, because people are more on this side of the track now.
He goes swooping through this complex. Brian Starring's found a way through there, dives through on the inside of Barrier. Oh, has he gone too early? Well, no, he obviously thinks he hasn't. He obviously thinks he's got the outright speed. They'll have to, each of these pairings, there'll be a man defending his line into Stoke Corner, surely. Yeah. Lamara leads it. He got a good drive down the straight.
Yeah,
Kawasaki's not near him.
He's just got near at the end of the straight.
So Eddie Lamara, is he going to rack up his first victory here of the season? The championship leader on the Barney Racing Team, Panigale. Eddie Lamara leads the way through Club Corner. He'll exit the second apex of this. And this will be his first win in the European Superstock 1000 Championship. He bravely lofts the front wheel of the Barney Racing Team. Panigale just beats Owen into third place. Brian Starring gets it by 0.1 of a second from Sylvain Barrier. Great ride by Kev Coughlin in 5th place. 6th for Christopher Bergman, who gets the better of Jezek on that final couple of laps. Mercado 8th, Reiterberger should cross the line in 9th. And congratulations from Brian Starring to Eddie Lamara. Eddie Lamara, who's been super consistent all year, and he's finally made it onto the top step of the rostrum.
You've got to say, he deserved every bit of that.
Yeah, good ride, really vigorous good ride.
Yep.
So the Panigale finally gets itself a victory in the European Superstock 1000 Championship.
Yep.
Oh, has it now stopped?
He's leaving it now.
Can you just hold on to this, please?
Hang on to that, mate.
Oh, I see. Oh, he's making love to it.
He's having a bit of a necking session with the front of the bike there.
Well, fair enough, Eddie. He's obviously very thrilled at that result. Number 67, Brian Starring, celebrates a 3rd place. That's 16 precious points for the Australian to try and claw his way up the championship. But Lamara, that's 25 points that will move him up to about 119 points in the championship's chase. And of course, Sylvain Barrier just got, here we check the result. Eddie Lamara, the 11.99 Panigale beats Guanoni's Kawasaki. Starring Petruccini Kawasaki 3rd ahead of Barrier, Coughlin, Bergman, Jezek, Mercado, Reiterberger and Fabio Massai. And then Robbie Brown just outside that top 10 gets the better of the Hungarian Gyorfi. Randy Pagau 13th ahead of Szmilewski and Parziani, who came off a good starting position on the grid, ends up just sneaking in for 1 point in 15th place. But it's the first victory for Eddie Lamara and the Panigale.